You are listening to Tech Gumbo on Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're brought to you by Gulf South Technology Solutions, 225-216-2169 or
GulfSouthTech.com.
Gulf South Technologies for all your business computing and IT needs. At Gulf South Tech, we give you the right solution, right response.
Right now.
I'm Haggai Davis, along with my guest host, young Haggai Davis III.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. So glad you're back. And want to remind everybody, please go to pulse.techgumbo.net. When you go to pulse.techgumbo.net, you can give us immediate feedback.
And so what we just ask for, you put in some basic demographic information, male or female, age range, and that's it. And then you sit there and you can vote up or down. Do you like the content? Do you not like what's happening? And it gives us feedback so we know how are you guys enjoying the show?
And it's really, really fun. It's a immediate feedback for us, and you can see it as well. So, this being our interview segment, we're going to be joined today by Mr. Matt Hester. Matt's a Senior Partner Technology Strategist for Microsoft. He's been with in the IT community for over 20 years. 15 of those have been with Microsoft. Welcome, Matt.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. Haggai, it's kind of nice. I only have to remember one name for the interview, so thanks for having me on today. Makes it real easy for the conversation. So
you bet.
That's wonderful.
So Matt, Microsoft seems pretty excited about this recent Office 365 E5. What's up with E5?
So we just announced a new version of our Office SKUs, or where you can actually go buy Office for your business. And really, it was an exciting announcement. It was December 1st when we actually launched it. And really the biggest thing that's in E5 is we included Skype for Business inside of that actual suite. So it now becomes part of the Office 365 family, part of that acquisition we made, I think, a little over a year ago.
That's exciting. What exactly does Skype for Business do differently than normal Skype?
So Skype for Business, it's funny is a lot of people, a lot of partners like yourselves, when they explain, Link, they said, well, Link is kind of like Skype for Business. And it's really designed to do that point to calling that we're all familiar with Skype, but it's designed to help take your business to another level by providing conferencing, meeting broadcast, cloud PBX, to be able to possibly get rid of the PBX you might have on-prem, and then having that plain old, the PSTN or public switch telephone networks or POTS, plain old telephone system type of calling that we can now have in the cloud for our customers. And it's really exciting because that's just one of the things they put into E5.
So when you're doing the public switch telephone network or the POTS lines or PSTN lines, using E5, is that actually coming through the internet? So if I have an internet provider, it's connecting back to Microsoft that way. Microsoft is switching my calls now?
Yeah, it really depends on how you're looking at it from that standpoint. So it could be our switching, what's going on. I do know a lot of the things that happened internally when we acquired them. There's a lot of logistics and legality then around of how do we actually switch those calls. I've heard rumors that Microsoft now will become one of the largest telcos in the world because of this. So my guess is going to be yes, but it really depends on what we're doing and how we're leveraging that public switch calling network. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it's implemented across the region, the uptick of it, because it's something we've been pretty excited about since WPC, which was back in July, I think, when we first kind of announced what we were thinking around it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was exciting. So, as far as some of the other parts of E5, in that phone portion of it, you got voicemail integrated into everything, and
yep.
So how all is that gonna play?
So what's going to be really nice for this, depending on what the scenarios your customers are going to be looking at doing this, it's really going to depend on what kind of thing we can do. If we're just looking at a customer, a small, immediate customer, which is where, you and I kind of love those customers, it can provide the ability for those customers to get rid of any on-prem phone systems they have and go completely with an internet-based phone system where everything's just hosted inside of our cloud technologies with Office 365. Whereas if we look at some of the other scenarios that are going to be available, if you're going to do call centers where you might have a customer that has a 30, 40 person call center shop, you may not be able to move the entire workload up into the cloud. And the simple fact of the matter, Haggai, is we can't control how the ISPs give internet access to our customers and where they're coming from. And the nice thing about this is that the E5 offering for Skype for Business is going to give flexibility to how we can architect that or how we can actually implement that based on what the customer scenario or solution is going to be. And there might be still some on-prem components based on what the customers are going to do. Now, I envision most customers are going to be how I use Skype. They're going to have that one or those phone numbers that are those people's desks, and they dial in, much like what I use here at Microsoft. We've been on Skype for Business for quite some time, and we've gone through some of the beta pains that are there, and it's been great to see the service improve for us. But I just have a regular home internet. I don't have anything fancy that some of the businesses may have. I have nothing, I don't have fiber or dark fiber running to my house, and I find that it works fairly well, and the call quality is very nice as well.
That's cool. So, am I going to need special phones, or is this going to be, hey, I can go buy a Polycom phone and just plug in and play?
Yeah, just plug and play. You really don't need any special phones. Now, there are phones out there that are Skype friendly. In other words, they'll be able to, you'll be able to press buttons and mute or set your presence and things like that. So there are phones that are available to you, but really the common Polycom devices, some of the desktop phones, all those kind of just special USB types of devices are going to work fine. You could even, if you wanted to, if you had Bluetooth headsets that could connect to your computer, you could actually use it that way as well. So whatever we're using today most likely are going to work perfectly fine. It just depends on the integration with some of the Skype present things, whether you're online or offline, what you have. And I've been using devices I've had, I think, for 5-6 years, and they work perfectly fine.
That's exciting.
Wow, that's a lot of really cool features. What else is new in Office 2016?
So, and that's what's really great is I think what gets lost in Office when we think about 365 and the E5 SKU, I think Skype is the big one, right? I think from a partner perspective and from your customer's perspective, it's really kind of the main component that people are going to really want to look at. But we're also updating a lot of the analytics that are underneath the covers. We're improving the Power BI, which if you have customers that work with data, or if you're a customer that works with data, getting answers today inside of Excel, it's just going to get a whole lot easier based on just the data that we connect to it. We're going to have a lot of analytics built in through Delve. We're also going to have some new security functionality around it, e-discovery, Lockbox, which is going to give customers new approval rights and control over their data in the cloud. So we're going to give a little more control of what they can do up in the cloud. We also have advanced threat protection. So there's a lot more in addition to what 365 brings a customer, like Exchange Online and SharePoint Online, kind of those traditional services that have been around for several years, really upping some of the other value that's going to be inside of that, inside of the E5 SKU. And, obviously Skype's the big one that's there, but they're putting in a lot of other stuff as well.
In addition to that, with the E5, you're going to get the whole Office 2016 productivity suite as well, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's been kind of very interesting because if you haven't taken a look at Office 2016, it has some great functionality. But yes, that's something that we're going to get for those customers when they actually look at getting Office 365. They're going to get Office 2016 for the on-prem or for the client-side components for those devices as well. So they're really going to get kind of a whole brand new SKU essentially of Office and some new enhanced features that we haven't done before.
And one of the things I like most about 2016 is that it's built for collaboration. It is just so in tune with what's going on in today's business climate about, hey, we're working together. We have to do things, pull multiple offices together and do things together. So the whole collaboration aspect of Office 2016 is just really, really phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a couple of some of my just favorite features. I think first, the real-time co-authoring is pretty amazing, where I've done some demonstrations live in front of customers and partners where I have a friend of mine sitting in the back of the room editing the document live and in real time in front of the room. And they're like, well, how's that happening? I'm like, well, this is real-time co-authoring. So we're seeing that into the products. My other one is kind of around collaboration. If you do choose to send files via internet, it's one of those, everybody kind of has their own favorite feature because that saves them time, and this is one of those things. I send a lot of attachments via email or via cloud, basically links from cloud technologies. I remember I would save a file. I'm like, okay, where'd I put that file? Because I have to attach it to an email, and I'd go hunting for the file. Well, just in Outlook, in the 2016 Outlook client, I have the ability when I say attach file, it ties into my recently used file list. So now I just click on a drop-down, and I click on the file that I just saved at or worked on, and it's already there. And that saves me a little bit of time every time I send emails. So there's a lot of stuff that are there.
Yeah, well, I just worked on a project over the weekend, and that would have been super useful. We had a bunch of files we were moving around, and just having something like readily available and just find it right there, that would have been wonderful to
Yep.
have.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and go ahead.
Well, just gonna say we're running out of time here on this segment. We've got a few seconds left. Wanted to thank you very much for coming on with us today, and want to remind our listeners to we're giving away a free 1-year subscription to Microsoft Office 365. Go to our Facebook page, put in the keyword Microsoft this week. It's go to facebook.com/GulfSouthTech. Keyword this week is Microsoft. So we have one segment left here on on Tech Gumbo. You're listening to Tech Gumbo, obviously, on Talk 107.3 FM.